Go suck a big fucking dick.
I don't know why Way of the Loud keeps asking if I go to yard sales. I mean, look, if there's a yard sale out there that offers stuff I like, I mean, I don't even know where you would go at this point to figure out where yard sales are. But if someone were to say, hey man, there's a yard sale coming up, they got a bunch of retro toys and games and really weird fucking kind of occulty weird shit, fuck yeah, I'd go. You goddamn right. I would love that. It'd be fantastic.
How dare you?
You could get cheap Lego. Yeah, but what am I going to do with Lego? I don't fucking want Lego. By the way, I want to remind you while we're all sitting here enjoying touching ourselves, this show is sponsored by a handful of folks, but certainly not the least of which, that's not right, the Leadist podcast, which you can listen to at the link tree below. These fine, gentle folk do trivia about video games. About video games. Who thought? Who would have thunk? It's good people. They're good people. The Leadist podcast. Give them a listen. Enjoy it. Tell them Jaffe sent you and go fuck yourself. Come on, that's not nice. That's not nice. Check it out, Day One Patch Kids. That's in the wrong place. Day One Patch Kids. These guys make, I'll tell you what, these guys make Garbage Pail Kids meets video games. That's the best way to describe it. We got one for Kratos in there. We got one for Sweet Tooth in there. My heart's a little sad. He didn't make us one run. Tanuki didn't make us one for the Drawn to Death, but it is what it is. You take what you can get. But this is good stuff. They got them on t-shirts and stickers. You can see a couple of them adorning my new microphone that I got from the good folks over at Last Stand Media. I will also be on Constellations coming up in a couple of weeks. I think next week. Into next week, we're doing a new Constellations, and I'll be on there. I don't think I can tell you who I'll be on there with, but it'll be a lot of fun. And we're going to get started in just a second. In the meantime, listen to this. Darth Nugget says, me and my bro used to go garage sale hunting as kids on our bikes when we were 11. Nobody cares. Fuck you. You don't want Lego, says... I'm not just kidding. You don't want Lego. Who doesn't want Lego, says a cab. Once you start building, you never stop. Oh, shit. I wasn't paying attention to the song. By the way, that was our other great, one of our many God of War tier members. Oh, hang on. Ah, there we go, baby. That was ALXPLOX. He says to me, he says, Jaffe, I'm not just ALXPLOX. I'm Alex. Oh, I'm blanking on his last name. It's a very kind of upper crust white name that sounds like he like grew up, you know, on the East Coast, and he's like some family that comes from the American Revolution. What the fuck is his name? Alex. He's like, but you know, I'm that too. He's got a number of names is the point. He's an artist. You know how these art types are. It's good to see everybody. Listen, Jaffe, Ricardo says Jaffe needs a therapist. Well, he says Jaffe needs a producer, which is true. And the producer will need a therapist soon. Let me tell you something. I mean, I'm not even fucking with you guys when I tell you this. Welcome to Gavin Games, by the way. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But let me address this really quick, because you're not wrong, Ricardo. Every producer I have ever worked with, I was talking to my ex this weekend, because we're like, can we afford Ricardo? This motherfucker's expensive. He's expensive. And we say, can we afford the guy? And my ex looks at me, she says, how can you not afford the guy? She says, every success you've ever had in life, honestly, not just work-wise, has been because you have aligned with a very talented producer. So, but what I'll tell you, Ricardo, is every single producer has at least had 1 or 2 stays in the Betty Ford Clinic after we were done working together. And if you don't know the Betty Ford Clinic, it's for addiction, but it's also for mental health. You may very well be going off the deep end, but you're going to have a good time as you go. Eddie Torres says, listen, I tried the Grimace birthday meal at McDonald's. Now I'm dying. Don't know if it's because I never eat McDonald's and my body isn't used to the poison. What you have to understand is now look, I'm a 70s kid. I grew up with McDonald's playgrounds and the Hamburglar and Grimace, the little fucking bird. I know all about the McDonald's cavalcade of multiverse characters, but who the fuck knows who Grimace is? In fact, I got McDonald's the other day with like an egg and cheese biscuit, and on the cover it says Grimace's birthday, but there's no picture. So your average kid looking at that is going to be like, well, what the fuck is a Grimace, Ma? Yeah, Ricardo's paid on sandwiches in Starfield. That's exactly right. Grimace is the fat, obese, purple thing. No, I know who he is. I'm saying that Grimace is lost to the, sands of nostalgia time. So that's all I'm saying. All right, fellas, welcome to the show. We're going to talk today about Starfield. Yes, a cab says, Jaffa, you can even make penises in Lego. I don't care. I have my own penis, and it works very well, thank you. I'll also tell you about the Lego. I love it. It's fun, but I'm not going to spend a lot of fucking time doing that. I have things to do. This stream is my Lego set. And Ricardo is my Death Star. Not my Death Star, my, what's the big Lego with the one, the Star Destroyer is what it is. Silver Joystick says Grimace is a taste bud, not a butt plug. He does kind of look like a butt plug. If you don't know and Gaming Nating says Grimace is the chicken nugget you dropped under your car that rotted until you did a good clean the year later. You're not wrong. Now I have to show you guys. If you don't know what Grimace looks like, look, there used to be. Okay, this is a diversion. If you're listening after the fact, I'll tell you where to jump to get to the game news. I hate that when podcasts do it, but you guys bring up really interesting things, and I want to at least address them for a few minutes. We're not going to spend too much time, but I want to show you this. This is true. This is the McDonald's gang when I was a kid. And there's Grimace right there. He looks like a Teletubby, Barney, what have you. There's Ronald. I don't remember what these guys were called. There's the Hamburglar. This was like Captain McFish or somewhat. And this is McBirdie for breakfast. I don't fucking know. The point of this, though, is that, McDonald's used to be so fun. And I was driving by our McDonald's the other day with my son, and he says, what's with the McDonald's? I don't know if you guys have noticed McDonald's recently, but McDonald's has been phasing out anything that looks remotely fun in exchange for things that are like almost like corporate office buildings. Like, look at this, McDonald's exterior. Let's just see what comes up. This is what our McDonald's looks like right now. This piece of shit. Like, who the fuck wants to go to this? This is almost like, where's the cubicle that I work in is what it feels like when you pull up to this fucking thing. McDonald's used to be, they had massive playgrounds and characters running around, and the seats looked like, hamburgers that you could fucking sit on. And don't be mistaken, Burger King, I know you guys know Burger King from Burger King Sneak, but Burger King used to have a whole bunch of fucking characters too. And not just the King, and it was awesome. And not just the Burger King Kids Club. But they had a whole fucking host. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This guy was some derpy milkshake guy. I forget what his name was. But it was cool, and suddenly, you just can't have fun things. You can't have fun things. I don't like this. Sneak King is Game of the Year, says Masochist. Yeah. That's what the McDonald's look like in Portugal? Yeah, they're boring as shit. I hate people. I've decided I fucking hate people. I hate people who are executives. I hate people who fucking come in and go, well, the market dictates and it says that we need McDonald's people to feel more up class because they don't fuck you. McDonald's is for fucking families and kids, and go fuck yourself. Or it's like when you're really high and you stop in at McDonald's and you just want to sit in the playground on the swings and eat a milkshake and fries, fuck you, McDonald's. Somebody give me their number. I'm calling them right now. If they're still open on the West Coast, I want the corporate HQ. Ricardo, get me McDonald's number. I'm calling them. I want to piss off the Twitter people. I can't believe you called McDonald's, Jeffy. They're doing very important work right now. How can you interfere with their work? Oh, these fucking Twitter fuckers. Listen to this. Somebody's asking about Steam Next Fest. Let's just jump into it. Let's talk to... Hey, let's get right into it. I'm Phil DeFranco. Isn't that his name? Yeah. Jaffe harasses more minimum wage workers. Mecca FM, thank you for coming on back to the Diet Soda Soldiers. It is very, very good to see you because I have a lot of energy today. I'll sing you a song, but first, here's what he says. No, I'll sing you Mecca FM's comment. How's that for service, bitches?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I want to be that guy. Listen, here's what he says. Some of it is not McDonald's fault. A lot of towns have building aesthetic codes they gotta follow so every building fits the aesthetics of the city. Okay, so what you're saying is that these cities, their aesthetic code is Kafka-esque. I want to jump out of a fucking window because I'm so depressed by my surroundings. What a horrible... People are fucking... I just, you ever get days where you just get sick of fucking most people? I don't mean like your family or your friends, but I mean just the cowardice. We can't do that. I could lose my job. Everything's all about the money, and I have to be accepted. It's so just gross. It's just gross. Bacon Magma says, Jaffe, look, under the humor, there's anger. Do you understand? Under the humor, Mecca, there's anger towards the conformists. I've been a nonconformist my whole life. Even Ricardo's sitting around going, dude, fucking get to the news, you bitch. And I'm like, listen, I know, but I'm not going to conform. You can't tell me what to do. All right.
How dare you?
All right, here we go. People are terrible when they choose to confuse you over giving you a direct answer. I hate that as well. That's for sure. I always hate aesthetic codes, says Gaming Nading. That's like buying a house and not being able to paint it blue because your neighbor is blue or too many blue houses. Go fuck off. No, it's a property value. Alex S. says, Jaffe, are you... Ricardo says, Mecca is already sorry for subscribing. Alex S. says, Jaffe, do you ever get sick of paying $70 for games and not finishing them? I really don't. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. We're going to talk about a game that drops tonight. I hope it's at 9 o'clock, not 12 o'clock, because I want to play it a little bit. But, you know, we're going to talk about Aliens, which comes out tonight, and that's actually only $30. But your point is valid. I don't want to pay $70 for games I don't finish. But I don't know what else to do. I want to play a lot of games. I love a lot of games, and they take too long to fucking finish, man. I mean, even Lies of P, which is just, I love it so fucking much. And I'm also 52 and I have a job and I have kids and I have a life and I don't have time to even fucking finish that. I've been stuck on the final boss for like a day and a half. I just went, I don't know how you guys do it. Blizzard put out a story that said the majority of people who purchased Diablo 4 haven't finished it. And I'm like, it just came out. How fast do you expect these motherfuckers to be? Midnight launches, though, were great at 9 o'clock. I love midnight launches coming at 9. So I am with you, Bacon Magma. For once we agree. He says, bring back 10 hours at the most games. I agree. They got bored and Blizzard nerfed the XP, Revno says. I heard that Blizzard was inundated with complaints that the XP was not generous enough. You're saying now they upped it so people would be able to finish faster, or are you saying they lowered it? Because doesn't nerfing usually mean weakening it? Wait, nerfing. Now I'm losing my mind. I'm an old man. There's two terms. There's nerfing it, which I guess that means you push it. What's the opposite of nerfing then? Okay, they didn't. They nerfed it. They weakened it. They lowered the amount of XP because they didn't want people to finish as fast. Okay, interesting. But I'm enjoying it. I'm still playing it. Buffing is what it is. Am I consulting now? I am consulting now. Right now, I am consulting with movie games. I will be streaming a few of their games this week for Stream Next Fest tomorrow night. Speaking of Mecha, he's asking, are you going to do a Stream Next Fest stream? Yes. Let me give you that rundown real quick. But first, yes, I'm consulting with movie games. I will be streaming one of their boomer shooters tomorrow, which is not out yet. And I will also be... I'm also consulting with a game called Trick Shot, which is really... I think there's a lot of potential there. And there's a lot of potential for the boomer shooter. So I'm having a really good time on that. But I like being this involved with video games. I wouldn't want to do more at this point in my life. Trick Shot sounds familiar, says Opzar. It's basically Tony Hawk meets Quake. And it's pretty fucking cool. Okay, so let's get to some news. Speaking of... I know Mutant Mo. Everybody talks about Bolt Gun. Haven't played it yet. Let's talk about Next Fest real quick, just so you know. A lot of people lament the death of E3, and I get it. I get it, man. But the thing you really have to understand, as a guy who's been to pretty much every E3 and adored the classic E3s and haven't liked them since, the closest E3 exists today is not, as much as I enjoyed a lot of the stuff last week, like Keighley's show and whatnot, and the Xbox show and all that, the closest you can get to E3 actually happens 4 times a year if you have a PC. And here it is right here. It's Steam Next Fest, okay? Now, I'm not trying to, if you don't have a PC, you don't have a PC. I wish to God that Sony and Microsoft and Switch could do this, and they could do it, but I guess that's the whole... God damn, Jaffe, grab the right thing. It's the whole walled garden bullshit, whereas PC's a lot more accepting of if something crashes and this, that, and the other. But let me just tell you what this is. This is live as of 10 o'clock this morning. It runs for a week. You have 900 demos, right? And they run the gambit. So if you want to look at some big budget games, Lies of P is in there, Warhaven is in there, which is a 16 player versus 16 player melee combat game. There are big games in this list, but there are also some of the tiniest little indie games you've ever fucking heard of. Viewfinder is a Game of the Year contender. It is phenomenal. That is actually on PC and I think PlayStation right now. If you've not played Viewfinder, please do yourself a favor. It is a mind-fucking-blowing, cool motherfucking game. But the point is, though, Pacific Drive has a demo. For the love of God, I think. Shadow Gambit, from the guys who made Desperados 3. The point is, back when I was at E3, you would walk the halls and you would never have any idea what was showing up, right? It wasn't like today where you know all the games that are going to be shown or rumored or, all that shit. You would walk the show floor at E3 and you didn't know what you would find. And it was so much fun to find surprises and talk to your friends and colleagues and all this stuff. A lot of them are time-limited demos, Opzar. Yes, not all. Sometimes you can download one and 6 months later it's still running. That's kind of up to the developer. But I'm telling you, this is not just the list. This is the current top 10 that's popular. But if you want to see the daily active demos, and we're going to move on. Lies of P is number 1. Wizard with a Gun. Vampire Hunters. These are all the top 10 of what is trending. But there are 900 fucking demos. So go get it. Go play it. Give it a shot. Lord Garth been a member for 19 months. He's been with us a long time, up and down the goddamn tier spectrum. We appreciate it, buddy. He says, there's no need for E3, you fuck. Companies can control their own messages marketing easily enough now, independent of competitors. Right. Which is why what this gives you is actually what the publishers need, which is like, hey, people can still gather all at the same time to discover games. But yeah, they don't have to spend all the money and they can still totally control their messaging. Jalapeno says, if this year was an actual E3, it would have been the worst in history. Why? I thought Xbox had a really good show. I thought there was some really good stuff at Keighley's show. The show wasn't great because there wasn't enough of it. But in terms of unique games, there was a lot of filler. And then the PC gaming show was really fucking good. So I don't know if I would agree with you. I mean, obviously we would have missed Nintendo, which apparently is, the rumor is there's a Nintendo Direct this week, but nobody really knows. And then there's, and we would have missed Sony, but you know. Bill Bones is jumping ahead of the class, fellas. He's trying to cut in line. He says, no, Sony doesn't need its own Starfield. We don't know, Ron, know what SF is yet. I don't know what that means. And there's plenty of open world games, but a new exclusive from Soft would hit the spot. We will talk about that in just a second. I did not watch Jeff Grubb interviewing Phil and those fellas. Okay, anyway, but speaking of the show, you may have seen this. Seven of the top 10 most anticipated Steam titles are day one Game Pass titles. Now, I'm not here to promote Game Pass. I love Game Pass. I think it's just the knees bees. But a lot of this is because this is what people are talking about because it was on the show. So it's not indicative of sort of what the headline makes you think. But it's pretty impressive that 7 of the 10 games you're going to get day one if you have a PC or if you have an Xbox and you have yourself a Game Pass, okay? But obviously at the top of the list is Starfield. Now, whatever you think of Game Pass, whatever you think of Xbox, and again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I have all the systems, and I love gaming. I will tell you that Starfield seems like the real deal. Now, I'm not a moron, because if you remember last year, we had Pete Hines on stage, and he was talking about Redfall. And Redfall, when he pitched it, was like, hey, that sounds pretty fucking good. Well, we know what happened with that, right? Did you see what he said? They asked him, is Arcane Studios safe from being closed, the one in Austin? And his quote was something like, Redfall, Starfield, whatever. It's not the fucking same. And his quote was, yeah, Arcane Studios is safe for now, which is like, that's not, that's not what you say in public. You might say that behind closed doors to your team to give them a sense of how serious this is. You don't fucking go out to the press and say, they're safe for now. That's tacky, man. That's cheeseball. But anyway, if you remember that last year, I was like, hey, after the deep dives that Microsoft put on, I was sold on some of this shit. We saw how it turned out. We also saw how Game Informer went out and had like a beautiful 12-page spread of Redfall, and it shat the bed. So just because we're getting good previews doesn't mean shit. But that said, though, Brian McCafferty of IGN fame was able to play an hour of Starfield, okay? And it sounds so fucking cool, man. I'm in. I am fucking in. Silver Joystick says Starfield has a 50-50 chance of delivering. So here's what we're going to do. I've picked 4 or 5 clips, very short clips, of McCafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, Eddie and the Cruiser Streets of Fire. Remember, it doesn't matter. Listen, McCafferty, the IGN guy, played it for an hour. Here's the clips that I enjoyed the most. I want to share them. We'll talk after each one wraps up. This is where Destin, our buddy Destin, who I've been on his show, we're going to have him on soon, basically asked him point blank. He said, is it any good? Here's what he said.
Destin, was it good? Was it good? Yeah, no.
Is that too quiet? Can you guys hear it?
I don't know about you guys, but what I got from the Direct, which I also had a chance.
Are you guys able to hear that, or is that too low?
Had a chance to watch the Direct before.
What do you guys think? Sounds low on my end.
And talking to Todd so that I could prep better questions for Todd.
Sounds good.
What I got from the Direct
too
was
low.
that this game is like absolutely the scale and scope of it's
okay.
insane.
So let me play it again. Here we go. So Destin's asking, he says, is it good? Is the game good? Here's what he says.
Was it good? Yeah, no, what I will honestly say is, I don't know about you guys, but what I got from the Direct, which I also had a chance to watch the Direct before playing it and talking to Todd so that I could prep better questions for Todd. And what I got from the Direct was that this game is like absolutely, the scale and scope of it's insane. And from what little I got to play it for myself, that absolutely comes across. Like, I think people are going to be playing this game for actual years.
Yeah.
Like, no joke.
So
Okay, so again, that's pretty fucking impressive. I don't know. Now, he's going to get to is the game good in a minute. But just the scope alone, though, he's like, within an hour, I can tell you this thing is fucking massive. Now, that doesn't mean it's good. Just because it's big. But it is a good jumping off point for this discussion. Bill Bone says, I don't see it having a strong narrative. He'll talk about that in just a second. But I want to stay on the scope issue for a moment and tell you what he said when he was talking just about the story and the main story and how big the game is, okay? Gaming Nading says people were playing Skyrim for years. I have faith in Bethesda. So this is what he was talking about here. Let me pop this up for you.
That. AJ asks, I just want to know if you can explore other worlds like a sci-fi Raylan Givens, or do you have to be an astronaut all the time? And no, you can. I actually think I was saying this to Todd after I finished playing for the hour. I think there are going to be people that never complete the main story. Like, they'll get entertained, like going off and living, because you can crew your ship.
Yeah.
You could, like, there's so many other things you can do that aren't the main story in the game that I think there are going to be plenty of people that are going to be like, yeah, I've played 300 hours and I haven't finished the campaign.
I feel like I might just live in space, boarding other ships that I see along the way. Like,
either,
that looks so
because
great.
like, you can hail.
Okay, so so it's big. There's a lot of freedom. And again, I think it goes back to that conversation of, what does Sony have that's like this? I want you to again, it may be overwhelming to somebody with my brain, but I love the idea of freedom. Listen to what he talks about. He talks about, right on the tail end of that last clip, he talks about what you can do if you encounter a spaceship while you're flying around. This is a bit of a longer clip, but just listen to this. This is pretty fucking cool. At least I think it is. You tell me what you think. Here we go.
Campaign.
I feel like I might just live in space, boarding other ships that I see along the way. Like,
either,
that looks so
because
great.
like, you can hail them, or you can board. Like I docked with a big freighter ship, and they said, well, can I just like go on and shoot everyone? Like, oh yeah.
All right, so think about that for a minute, right? So you can fly around. They say the space combat's great. When you encounter a ship, you can decide whether you want to hail them and do diplomacy with them based on how you've rolled your character and built out your character's, charisma and all that. You can enter into space combat with them, or you can board them. And this is his experience when he boarded one of the ships. Listen to this.
And they said, well, can I just like go on and shoot everyone? Like, oh yeah, absolutely. So climbed up into the ship, and it was actually a really neat little scenario where on this ship the gravity whatever the gravity generator was on the fritz. So you'd be walking along, and then the lights would flicker and the gravity would go off, and then you'd start floating. And so then you're kind of floating around, and like you saw in the Direct, if you have like a shotgun, you'll get blasted back. And then the gravity will come back on and you drop back to the floor. And so that allowed for some fun physics moments where I happen to have a shotgun. And so you just blast the guys and they go.
Star Trek 6 for their.
So, I mean, again, it sounds it sounds like one of those things that you can really immerse yourself in for a very long time. I get what you're saying. Doug says, I tried Skyrim once, got bored after 30 minutes. I never played again. That is the danger of games like this, especially one of the things that he says is, or McCafferty says, is that he says, you can spend a lot of time in the character customization, because he's not just talking about the way you look, but all of your backstory and abilities and background issues that do affect the moment-to-moment gameplay. All of those things you can really, it's very robust. But yeah, I don't imagine, I'm still susceptible to my ADD and I need to be entertained. And if this is a slow burn, then it's probably not for me. But from everything he's saying, it sounds fucking great. Listen, you guys are bringing up No Man's Sky in the chat. Listen to what they actually say about No Man's Sky as it relates to this, because Todd said something really interesting about this. Here we go.
I think my Twitter-friendly summary of, at least again, just scratching the surface of the surface in an hour. To me, this feels like No Man's Sky with an entire full Bethesda role-playing game built on top of it. Which, or, I guess another way you could phrase it would be No Man's Sky 2, in the sense of if there were to be a full sequel to No Man's Sky, well, what would you want? You'd probably want a full story, quests, characters, and that, to me, is what's going on in this game. It's got all the exploration of No Man's Sky. It's got the mining laser that you zap at rocks to mine resources and other stuff, but there is the entire, Fallout 4-like, Skyrim-like game built on top of it with a ton of different characters. I did get to play a little bit of the main story. They asked me not to, give away anything. I wouldn't hope.
But then he gets into other stuff. I mean, he talks about the space combat, and he's talking about how he was worried the space combat would just be kind of, after a few minutes or after a few times doing it, you go, okay, this is annoying, let me move on. But he's like, no, all these systems, all these individual systems are really robust and really fleshed out. And I saw somebody in the chat saying, if this would have come out when it was planned, it probably would have been like a Cyberpunk issue. But it sounds fucking great. And then and so here's the question though. So I'm watching this shit. And I'm going, okay, well, obviously, Sony doesn't have anything like this at the moment, okay? And the question is, do they need it? Now, you could argue, well, they're good with RPGs because of Final Fantasy. But I don't know. First off, I don't know about that. Because there's two things on Final Fantasy I'll say. One is, it's not exclusive. It's exclusive for the moment, but it's not theirs, right? But also, I think Final Fantasy, I could be absolutely fucking wrong. And I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know if Ricardo knows what the numbers are, but I don't get the sense, like if you compare the numbers to Skyrim or if you compare the numbers to Fallout 4, I don't know anymore if Final Fantasy does the kind of numbers. Maybe it does. I don't know. I'm not trying to piss in your cornflakes. I'm just saying I don't hear the Final Fantasies talked about by as many people as these Bethesda games. Final Fantasy says Ravnos will not be as big as Starfield. Right. That's what my gut says, but I don't have the data for that. But that's my gut says that as well. The point being that, okay, so you can't really check that box. Now, Sony's doing amazing. Sony doesn't really need anything right now. But the question is, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I have seen people who are big, hardcore, only Sony fans that are actually giving some kudos to this fucking game and saying, man, it would be cool if PlayStation had something like that. Now, and by the way, Ricardo is saying that Skyrim has sold more than 60 million copies. I don't know how that compares, say, to Final Fantasy, 12 or whatever the last one is. Well, I know it wasn't 12, but the last one that was really big. But you guys tell me. So, but this now, I want to say this is a joke. This guy made a petition, make Starfield a PS5 exclusive. Let's assume he's trolling, because certainly the signatures are trolling. All the signatures, people have joined this just to basically say, you're a fucking idiot, go jump out of a window. I'm signing because I want to leave a comment telling you you're pathetic and need to get a life. I signed to say you are so far gone, it'd be laughable if it wasn't so sad. You know, I don't take this super duper seriously, but I do take the intention behind it, which is Sony PlayStation only players are looking at this and going, this may be the first time in a very long time, if not ever, that Xbox has had something that PS5 players or PlayStation players are not going to be able to get their hands on unless they buy a console or a PC. By the way, here's the numbers have come in. Skyrim has sold more than 60 million copies. Final Fantasy 7. You mean the remake or which one? Final Fantasy 7 sold around 13. Do I think Starfield will sell Xboxes, says Mecca? I do. I really, really do. If it's as good as what that IGN made it out to sound like. Now, the one thing I'll say, but I'm going to get to maybe here's what maybe Sony has. Okay, so you're saying the original Final Fantasy 7 sold around 13. I'd be curious what the most recent Final Fantasy sold, though, because that was back in the PS1 days, and so much has changed. Ghetto God says it was proven an Xbox fan created the petition. Right, like I said, I don't believe it. His name is Benjamin Dickey. But I do believe the sentiment is reflective of some of the responses not only I've seen online, but that I feel. I have an Xbox, but if I didn't, I would be like, oh, Starfield, I'm going to wait for the reviews, but that sounds pretty fucking good. Hungry says, I'm considering buying an S for Starfield. I don't want to spend more and upgrade my PC right now. Right, and apparently, you know, well, again, who knows? I don't know if it's true, but apparently, you know, they say Phil Spencer said he's been playing it on the S, and it plays fine. What's he going to say? It plays like shit? Okay. So, Sony does have something. Now, it's not the same, and I see you guys in the chat like, well, Microsoft didn't make it. They bought it. Okay, well, fine. Here's what Sony bought, because Elite came out, I think it was Tom Henderson, who's pretty reputable with this. This leak came out today about Marathon, okay? And the same people who gave details that turned out to be accurate last year are the same people giving him this information. So it seems credible. I don't know if it's true. You never know. I drink into the microphone because it drives Mr. K crazy. He says all other professional streamers turn away when they drink. They do this. And I know that that's what I should do. But because it drives him nuts.
How dare you?
It makes me happy. Listen to this. Here's what they're saying about Marathon. Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty fucking good. Marathon's a 3-person extraction shooter. All right? Like Tarkov. What I like about it is you don't have to play it with a team. Like, I want to play DMZ more, but I always don't want to find 2 other people, right? I just want to fucking, play. And it's like, nope, you got to find 2 other people. Fuck you. So you can play it as a team, or you can extract without a team, or you can play it solo. Okay, fine. Or duos. Okay. The thing that's interesting, it says all players have a limited amount of oxygen that acts like the match countdown. So if you run out of oxygen, you die. Or you start to lose health and you die. If you extract before you run out of oxygen and health, that is the goal. But players, you can also find canisters in the match or buy them. This was what makes me a little worried. At expensive prices on the market before heading into battle. I hope that's the in-game market, like Counter-Strike, and not like, hey, pay to win and buy some oxygen. Hopefully that's not what's happening. And I don't think that's not in the that's not in the wheelhouse of Bungie or Sony, frankly. But that said, though, it sounds pretty interesting. It says you can get injured while you play and it'll fuck up your oxygen, right? So it says if you get shot in the waist, it could cause damage to your oxygen supply tank, which will start depleting more rapidly. They also said if you get hit in the head, you'll have a concussion at times, which causes your screen to blur periodically. Perks include faster revives, less O2 usage, faster movement in the water, etc. Abilities are more game-changing and powerful, allowing the likes of night vision to spot enemy outlines. Here's what Bungie said. This is pretty interesting. I hope they can pull this off. Bungie was aiming for Marathon to be the ultimate live service game. To achieve this, the team is aiming to have a minimal load time, with one source saying the team is aiming for single-digit load times from readying up to actually playing the game. For replayability, it was said that Marathon's maps will have plenty of secrets for players, blah, blah, blah. The last thing they said that was interesting is there's a bit of a permadeath aspect. So you have loot, implants, and perks. If you die, all of your loot goes away. Weapons, artifacts, currency. So there's this tension, which I think sounds like a lot of fun. Implants sometimes go away, and perks never go away. So there is this kind of, but here's what I like about this. Now, again, is this Sony Starfield? Of course not. It's science fiction based. It's a service-based game, but no, this is multiplayer. Starfield has no multiplayer on it. There's a million differences. But what I do like about this from Bungie, and this will be on Xbox too, which blows my fucking mind. I guess Bungie was demanding that has to be part of the deal, or we're not letting you buy as Sony, because why the fuck would Sony give this away to the competition? But regardless, I like that this feels like, here's what it feels like. When whatever you think of Neil Druckmann, or Cory Barlog, or Eric Williams, or the folks over at Sucker Punch, who make the world's best cinematic single-player action-adventure games, when they're going to make something, even though it may not be for you, it's good. It's well done. They know what they're doing in that genre. I think when you listen to what Bethesda is offering, and I think when you listen to what Bungie is offering with both of these games, they both sound like, oh, it's cool to see Sony and Microsoft finally getting some people on in this space that know what the fuck is going on. And I mean, the game's going to be great. But I like that. I'm excited for both of these fucking games at this point, assuming they deliver. I'll be the first to shit all over them if they're bad. But Ricardo says, yeah, but does Sony need Starfield? Well, Sony's not going to get Starfield, right? Here's what Sony might get. I mean, there's a rumor that Barlog is working on a space game, but I don't think, I could be wrong, Corey's an incredibly talented, bright fella, but I don't think, unless marketing comes in or PD comes in or Corey comes in and says we have to pivot, a non-narrative cinematic game doesn't really sound like something Corey would have any interest in. It sounds to me more like he would want to make, if he is indeed making a space game, he would want to make something that's sort of more narrative and paced by him, and secrets revealed when when he wants them to be revealed, not something where it's like, hey, it's a playground, go have fun, make your own fucking story. Ravnos is bringing up Concord, but we don't really know anything about it. We know it's a PvP shooter multiplayer service game coming exclusively to Sony, but who the fuck knows what it is. Jaffe asking if Sony will get Starfield is like asking if Microsoft will get Spider-Man, says Alex. I'm not asking literally, and that's not what I asked, by the way. The thumbnail doesn't say, will Starfield come to Sony? It's, do they need their own Starfield? I don't mean the literal game. I mean, do they need to start putting their toes in the water of these open world, immersive, sandbox adventure games? Whether they buy No Man's Sky and buy Hello Games, if they can, and have them make a sequel like IGN was saying, which is basically what it looks to me that Starfield is, or whether they really put the money down. And I know, no one's going to tell you, oh, they said they're not for sale, whatever. Who knows? Everyone's for sale. But ultimately, put the money down and buy CD Projekt Red. Because clearly, the people who have spent time with the new Cyberpunk say it's really fucking good. They've turned the corner on Cyberpunk. It's clear they've realized the financial dangers of launching too early. So they're still a pretty, they've Tefloned away a lot of the bad faith people had put on them because of the original launch of Cyberpunk. So I think the real question is, does Sony need a team like that? Whether they make it from the ground up or they buy it, or they buy Rockstar. Rockstar doesn't do that, though, unless I'm missing a game. I don't think Grand Theft Auto plays like an RPG. I know it is an RPG, and I get it. I understand that you can kind of use a number of definitions for RPGs that cause GTA to fit in that, but I don't think that really fits. The narrative in those games, I think, are still pretty locked to the rails. Red Dead 2 was very RPG. I haven't played that one, Masochista, so you may be right then. Although I wouldn't do anything with Rockstar at this point until they come out with 6 and show that they still have the juice with a lot of the creative people having left. Let me get a couple of these super chats, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you, fellas, very, very much. We got, well, what do we got? We got Mr. Opinionated. Mr. Too Opinionated. Thank you, buddy. He says, Sony doesn't have anything like this, and that's why the acquisition is still a big deal. Every platform has games that others don't have. You mean the Bungie acquisition? Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to play in these big waters now, and I think it was smart for them. But unfortunately, the competition will have, if you're talking about Bungie, they will have Marathon. Mr. Opinionated goes on to say, Sony can't compete on this level, but that's okay. I mean, maybe they can. Maybe if all they need is one big hit in that space, and it'll fund all kinds of shit till the cows come home, We're just normal men, just innocent men. There are some RPGs out there, Ricardo says, with the potential. Spiders and Piranha Bytes could grow with Sony support. Yeah, sure. Doug says, I think, does PS need a Starfield is placing too much importance on one game? Perhaps, but it's more about placing importance on some genres that are lacking from Sony's portfolio. They really, the ground has shifted. And I know back in the day, it was like, RPGs are niche. But when you look at games now that do fit the RPG definition, they're some of the most successful fucking games out there. I mean, and fuck Starfield, talk about Tears of the Kingdom. It's no different. It's this big open world sandbox narrative, great IP, player can express themselves. Sony doesn't have any of that. And that's a big hole in their portfolio, I would think, but it doesn't mean they're going to fall apart if they don't get one of those immediately. I'm just saying it's a conversation regarding is this genre meaningful enough to make Sony make some different decisions that they're used to making? So, I mean, again, it's not just this. Avowed will probably be good, given the pedigree of the team. Whether it looks visually good or not, who knows? We know that the guys in An Exile are making that Clockwork thing, which looks pretty fucking good. And their last game, Wasteland 3, was excellent. Guys, look, if you come to this show, I'm not a fanboy. Please don't bring this shit into me. Look, Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, Brett Williams says, Bloodborne and God of War are all the same genre. News to me. Okay, Returnal, yes, that's a very unique. It's also very niche. Didn't sell very well. Bloodborne is a last generation title that really so far isn't getting, I know they're doing something, but isn't getting any push for anything new. God of War and Ratchet are similar in the same genre. They're single player, narrative based action adventure games. But I mean, I'm asking a genuine question. I'm not trying to stir up Sony fanboys. I'm asking, do you think, given the success and the burgeoning of this genre, that Sony needs one of these put into production? That's all I'm asking. Jabilio? Am I saying your name right, sir? Jabilio has become a Diet Soda Soldier. Thank you, buddy. I'm going to sing you a song. Once upon a time, I wanted to pay to learn how to get women to sleep with me so they would pay me, and I wanted to be a Jubileo, and he said it's Gigolo. That I was going somewhere. I just, it's late. Fuck you all. Jubileo, thank you so much for becoming a Diet Soda Soldier, buddy. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Brett Williams has been a member for 9 months. He says, I was responding to someone else, Jaffe. That wasn't directed at you. Fuck you, Brett Williams. Hey, it's the Brett Williams Show. You know, Brett's really an interesting fella. When he was 12, he got in a horrible car accident with his family. They were okay, but Brett lost everything except his brain. He is now currently a brain in a jar at the University of Virginia. That's upside down. And what's fun about him, though, is he still is able to communicate by some really advanced tech where they have hooked his voice up to a computer, and now he hosts the Brett Williams Show 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock every night. He tends to talk more about romance, probably because he's never really, who's going to fuck a brain? Think about that. If Brett Williams got in a relationship and fell in love and they fell in love with Brett Williams, you'd basically be falling in love with a meat sack of ideas. Right? There's no physical love that could come from that unless you could hook his brain to a computer and cause it to do all kinds of things with vibrators and things like that. But ultimately, Brett Williams. Fellas, Brett Williams coming up next. In the meantime, have a good day. Good to see you. I love y'all. Drive safe. Whoo, lordy. All right. As long as Call of Duty's on PlayStation, they don't need another first-person game. I don't think most people get, oh God, think about it in perspective. I could be wrong, though. Like game perspective. $6 says, for a second, I forgot you were lying. That's my superpower, baby. Do you know when I worked at Sony? I shit you not. When I worked at Sony, there were times where my boss would say to me, you know, we want you in this meeting, but can you not say a lot? And I said, yeah, why? What's going on? And he says, you have this superpower where you're able to say things and just convince people that your way is the right way, even if after the meeting they walk away and say, what did I just do? What did I just agree to? And I says, yeah, you know, I read Dune, and I took the training of the what are they called? The Bennett Hazarat, whatever the fuck, cataracts, or you know. The point is, let's move on. Okay. I'm going to show you a trailer right now. This is a trailer for the new Hideo Kojima documentary called Connecting Worlds. You will see me in the corner responding, but I'm not going to say anything. And then we'll talk about the trailer. We'll talk about a Q&A that happened after the premiere of the trailer at, I think, the Tribeca Film Festival, that Keeley was there, the director was there, obviously Kojima was there. We're going to talk about this, and I'd like to see it too. And Ricardo might have some things to chime in on this as well. He and I are both Kojima fans. I love Metal Gear. It's probably my second or third favorite video game franchise. Death Stranding was too slow for me, but I still really thought it was cool. I am not a Kojima hater, but I will tell you, I think the man sniffs his own farts and thinks they smell like fucking roses, and it's getting kind of annoying, and I'm not the only one. But let's watch the trailer first. Here we go.
He is probably the most well-known game creator in the world.
In the space of gaming, he's the master.
It's kind of like stepping into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory with Willy Wonka.
Oh my God.
誰もが見たこともないものを作りたいんですけども、人は自分でプロデュースをするしかない。ただ今は自分の会社なんで、これをこけたら次がなくなるので。おかしい。
When you balance expectation of hundreds of millions of dollars in investment with wanting to stay true to your vision, that's like playing Russian roulette with 6 bullets.
Go suck a big fucking dick.
The risk is it's too radical. And that's where the creative courage comes in.
カメラ回ってるとみんないきなりね、ポジティブになるっていうか。
Video gaming is an art, but the only person in charge of the orchestra is the auteur.
The purpose of stories is to make meaning out of life. And that's why his work is so important.
Mr. Hideo Kojima.
It's the obligation of any artist to push boundaries.
子供の頃から妄想癖があって、未来を見たというか、テクノロジーが世界をつなぐっていうかね。
Oh my God. Okay. Now, I like Kojima. I really do. I've only met him once. I don't know if he's a good guy. Fuck you, Addy Pie, you piece of shit. Listen, let me address that first, because I know I knew that was gonna be a thing that some people say. Stay jealous, old man, says Addy Pie. My God, man, can't anybody attack a sacred cow without it having ulterior motive other than just expressing what that individual feels is the truth? I'm not some kind of, I was susceptible to smelling my own farts back when I was well known for making video games. Okay? I get it. And at the time, it felt cool. It felt like, well, who wouldn't want to be this? So I understand that you would say, oh, you're jealous of that because you still want people to fawn over you like that, blah, 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 blah. And all I can tell you is you can either trust me or not, but I have been to the mountain of geek fame, and I'm coming back down to tell you there's nothing up there, right? It's dumb, okay? So it's meaningless, right? And so what I'm saying is, do I want to see this documentary? Yes. Will I play Death Stranding 2? Fuck yeah, I'll play Death Stranding 2. I mean, if I have the time, hopefully it will be faster than the other game and more engaging, although I did like it. It was just too fucking slow for me. But I'm sorry, I don't think it's fair that anyone who pushes back on this narrative, which is kind of obnoxious, and it's not just me. Look at your screen right here. This is coming from a fan. This is coming from Games Radar. This Hideo Kojima documentary seems a bit much, even for me, a Kojima fan. And then it just kind of goes into like, oh my fucking God, dude. Did you do all of it by yourself? I mean, I know they showed the team, but it's just like, my God, man. It's just too much. It reminds me of that Raising Kratos documentary they made that I did a video on as well, where I was like, look, man, I know Corey's super talented. You guys know how I feel about Shannon. You know how I feel about Eric. There's nothing about that team I think those folk can't do. They're amazing. But that whole documentary and the way it was shot, I'm telling you right now, if you're fucking out there and you want to do anything of note, make video games, write books, make movies, whatever, and you're chasing adulation because of it, you are in trouble. And it will not give you what you think you... I'm telling you, man, I've been there. It's horseshit. It is horseshit. RPG says, I must say, not once have I heard Jaffe accepting compliments about God of War or Twisted Metal without mentioning the team. So I always thought it was modesty. I'm not suggesting that I was not a key player in those games. Just like Kojima, of course, you recognize a Kojima game. I'm not saying that's anything he should run away from. I think he's a very talented fucking dude. And I like the work he does. But what bothers me is when you want to bring it up and you automatically get beaten down by people who are like so protective of their cult leader. And instead I'm offering you medicine. I'm offering you a tested vaccine, which is don't fall for the horse shit. Okay? Ravno says, have you not seen the little sycophants who worship you, Jaffe? I hope there aren't any. I hope there are people out there who like me and who like the stuff that we put out, whether it's the games I got to work on or the shows I get to work on now. But if you watch this stream and you think that I'm anything other than just some fucking normal guy trying to get through the day, I'm doing a horrible fucking job. Most people just don't want to see people respected for their talent. No other reason to hate on this documentary, says Addy Pie. Addy Pie, you're wrong. You're just fucking wrong. Okay? I'm going to move on. I want to bring Ricardo on if you want to talk about this, because I know you don't think Kojima is necessarily overrated, okay? But I'm sorry, Addy Pie, if you watch this trailer, I mean, look at these fucking fake bullshit shots. This is not a genuine reflection of a human doing their work. It is, okay, now I want a moody shot of you walking across the office and thinking, and looking out into the distance, thinking the thoughts that a visionary like you can have, but no one else can have. I think it's dangerous. I think it's fucking dangerous. For Shizzle says, why can't you hate on the documentary for being pretentious? Oh, I do. Oh, I do. Trust me. I hate on the documentary as well. Cannibal wants to talk about Kojima. Fine. Here we go, boys. This is Good Sir, That's a Bingo. What's up, Cannibal Lecter? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am very, very good. Ricardo, let me know if everybody can hear him well. What do you want to talk about, Cannibal?
No, it's just in relation to the Kojima stuff, like removing all of the grandization, and he has been sometimes, blown out of proportion in terms of his technical influence, but I guess there's 2 points that he has to be acknowledged for.
A lot of points. He's great at what he does. I'm not shitting on Kojima.
No, but in saying that, I'd like 2 main points. Number one is he I'm not sure if tell me if I'm wrong, right?
Sure.
He's one of the, not the only, right? But one of the individuals who, and there's a lot of people in Nintendo, I'll tell you that, but he's one of the individuals who has carried the evolution of the past 3 decades. So, like if you see Metal Gear, when it started, and I guess with Phantom Pain where it's ended, there is an evolution of what he has created. So he is his creative effort has been part of that evolution of it for the past 3 decades, or even 4 decades, if I'm not. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, and probably you've seen it, is that he has this, I'm not sure, interesting capability, and I know a lot of Japanese people who usually have this ability to technically not predict, but having the capability to discuss the possibilities of what is going to happen in the future, right? With the first one, genetic modification, the second one, the meme culture and the social media and how it's going to impact us, 3 with legacy, and 4 specifically in relation to militarization, private, currently what is going on in Eastern Europe, etc., etc.
Right.
And then with 5,
I get it. He's able. A lot of his writing, or at least some of his writing, is you can look at and say, "Wow, he predicted that," or he was writing about that before it happened.
I wouldn't say he predicted that, because he consumes media like no other, right?
No, I don't know what that means. He consumes media like no other. What I know is a lot of the accolades he is given, which I would say he is justly given, are that in video games he has brought up things in the narratives that, lo and behold, really were seem predictive, even though they may not have been predictions, just him reading the tea leaves that we all had access to, of how certain things would go. I agree. I think that's really impressive and cool. But
yes.
So what?
Wouldn't acknowledging that,
please
a certain person...
Acknowledge the fuck out of it. Say, hey, that's really cool. Let's talk about that. But talk about it realistically. Talk about it without background music, without slightly slow motion footage of Kojima walking across, because when you mix that with reality, it skews people's ideas of what reality and what people are within that reality and what the creative in the work process is really like. And I think that's damaging and dangerous and disingenuous.
So your critique is in relation to the creative process has been grandized too much.
Yes, and he is
that's very much it.
I would say that he is sort of in video games, kind of, aiding and abetting that particular crime, in my opinion. Listen, this thing opens saying he's the first video game auteur. What? That's horseshit. What horseshit? Right? I mean, it's just like, okay, most of the things people laud him for, there are people who laud his gameplay, and he's got some really fucking cool gameplay. I will give him that. I love Kojima's games. But you're talking about his narrative, his story. He predicted this, that, and the other. But, I mean, you can go back to people who were making games in the arcades and go, wow, Eugene Jarvis, every game Eugene Jarvis makes to this day. And if you don't know Eugene Jarvis, he did Defender, he did Robotron, he did Cruising USA. Every game in the gameplay is, you know, a Eugene Jarvis game when you play a Eugene Jarvis game. I was stunned to learn that the guy who made Time Pilot also made Gyrus. Both of those were my favorite games growing up, and they were done by the same programmer, and they feel like a game by that guy who's gone on to do huge games at Capcom. So all I'm saying is this, I don't like the horse shit. I would rather say, let's talk about Kojima, let's talk about him respectfully, let's give him the props he deserves, but stop putting any of these fucking creatives up on a fucking pedestal. Not because I have a jealousy like some people in the chat are suggesting, but I think it's really bad for us as a society.
But it's human nature to do that.
Yeah, it's human nature to evolve and recognize our bad behaviors and grow out of them, right?
I don't think it's a bad behavior.
You don't think telling other people lies about processes of creation and what it means to be a creator is damaging?
I think there is a certain level of idealization in it. You know, we idolize Shakespeare to a certain extent, right? And I think it has carried, you know, Aristotle or any of the creators, Leonardo da Vinci. We idolize it. We fantasize. We make it romanticizing it, and to a certain extent, I think it plays a role in for the next generation of people to, to how to say it, idolize and then come from it. I think I
respectfully disagree. I mean, neither one of us knows. It's just a gut feeling. All I can tell you is, as a guy who's been there and as a guy who has had people, certainly I am not as successful or talented as Kojima ever was or is or will be, but I've had people treat me by putting me on a pedestal, and what I can tell you is it is not a good, genuine feeling, because you know deep inside that it's all horseshit,
and it's not for you.
I don't think it's for anyone. I don't think it's for anyone. If you had, let me ask you a question. If you had a son, it doesn't matter if you had a kid, and the kid says, "Hey, Papa, I want to go make video games," and you're like, "Okay, why?" Well, I just watched this documentary on Kojima, and then I watched one on Raising Kratos, and it made it look so dramatic and so fun, and it's like, and you're like, "Yeah, son, but it's really hard." Oh, I know they showed that in the documentary, but then when they had the breakthrough, it was amazing. And what the kid didn't realize is it's like there's background music that made it feel amazing. The camera was in the exact right position when Kojima was like head down, really struggling, and everyone was looking to Kojima for the answer, when those looks to Kojima were probably shot months apart that had nothing to do with whatever they were editing. That is the stuff that you would tell your kid. The only thing you need to do if you want to go make video games is go make a video game. There's a million engines out there. That's it. Don't watch a fucking documentary about someone who makes video games, because it's going to give you the wrong take. That's all I'm saying.
Right, but when the struggle is coming, and the next set of the engine is not working, and there's millions of different bugs that you have to fix. There's the glimmer of there has to be a glimmer of hope somewhere, right? That I can do this. The grit that comes in.
Yeah, that's called just work ethic. Let me look. Last fucking thing.
Yep.
Give me what I want, bitch. Give it to me now.
That's a bingo.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
No worries.
All right, there he goes. Fuck you, Addy Pie. Jesus Christ, Jaffe thinks he's a know-it-all. Bitch, it's my fucking show. That doesn't mean that I'm right, but that means if you tune into the show that I'm fucking hosting, I'm going to give you my opinion. Do I really need to fucking put in front of everything I say I could be wrong, but I don't know if I'm right. But I know that I have more experience than you do at this. I've been the subject of the documentaries. I've been the guy standing inside on the other side of the rope while people looked at me, and I knew they were looking at me, and I ignored them because I was talking to other people, and that made me feel more important. And I knew that they felt that because we had conversations about it later. Don't fucking come at me like you know more about this than I do. That doesn't mean I'm right, but my lived experience is definitely relevant to this discussion, and that's not a knock against Kojima. There you go. Ricardo, did you want to say anything about Hideo Kojima before we move on? Oh, here he is. Let me bring him in. Let me ask him. Ricardo, did you have anything you wanted to add to this little tasty morsel? Ricardo, I think he's... What if he died while he was producing the show? All right, well, he's in if he wants to talk.
Hey, can you hear me?
There it is. There it is. Okay. Ricardo, what am I wrong? Talk to me. What do you think about this? What do you think about Kojima?
Well, first of all, let me just ask the chat if my sound is okay, because I cannot check myself.
Okay, trust me, they'll let us know.
Let us know, guys. So, on Kojima, let me start by saying that I'm a big Kojima fan. I love all the Metal Gear Solid games. I'm a massive fan of Death Stranding. I even enjoyed Zone of the Enders. That said, I think he has definitely problems with how he directs cutscenes. They are way too long, and dialogue on cutscenes and on messages like codecs and stuff like that can be way too long. Way too much exposition, for sure. But more than that, and I think this is... I mean, we all recognize Kojima is a great games developer.
Absolutely.
But how much did Metal Gear Solid overall sold? Around 60 million, the entire series.
Yeah, it's not the hit a lot of hardcore... I mean, I love Metal Gear. I love Solid Snake, but it's not the hit people think it is.
Death Stranding is a flop.
Well, it's not a flop. It made its money back, but barely. So it did. They were disappointed in the sales.
That's
and I
not
know
what you expect from Kojima.
Because I asked somebody at Kojima Productions, and they told me point blank.
Doing its money, it's not what you expect from a brilliant game director, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I think that you could say he's brilliant in the way a Tarantino is brilliant. Tarantino's movies make money, but they're not making more than Transformers, right? I mean, he's still a viable roll of the dice for people with money to invest, but certainly,
On another angle, which was the last game, last Hideo Kojima game that won Game of the Year on most magazines, basically?
I don't know if he ever had one that got
Metal Gear Solid 2, perhaps? 3, maybe?
I don't know.
4 in a few. But that's it, basically.
Addy Pie, what is your problem with this fucking guy? Addy Pie in the chat, Ricardo says, does money indicate quality now? No. I literally just said a filmmaker like Tarantino is like Kojima, which is to say he's very talented. The stuff he makes is incredible, even though it's not always to my taste, but it doesn't always translate into the biggest financial success. And you... who have a fucking weird dog in this fight. I don't know if you want to hump Kojima. I don't know what your problem is with this guy. No one is insulting him. No one is insulting him. We are talking about the cult of personality that surrounds him that you clearly seem to be a part of. So, no to whatever else you're going to say.
I'm sorry, Eddie Pie, but I have to disagree with you. The Death Stranding original Metacritic is 82 Metascore, 74 user score, and the best game of the year that year, for most publications and the Game Awards was Sekiro. Definitely not Death Stranding.
You got to get Sekiro in there, don't you, bitch?
I have to.
Damn, it's like.
That said, as I already told you, ALIXPLOX, I'm a big Kojima fan.
Me too.
I love Death Stranding to death, but Kojima is a great developer, but the results are not quite there. And looking at the documentary, for example, there's a line in the trailer that says, after I don't know how many years, Hideo Kojima finally opened his studio. Why? Because he was fired by Konami.
And they asked him, right? They said, Keighley asked him on stage about being fired from Konami, and was it due to poor sales, right?
Yeah.
And what was his answer? What did he say?
I don't recall, but I'm not sure if even it's we can trust Kojima on that.
Well, let's see. Here, let's listen to him. Here's what he says.
Game is made with 600 people. It's almost like a factory. But us, it's different. Same with indies movies. You have to fight with the big budget movies. So that has changed like that these days of creating games.
Len mentioned how much Metal Gear inspired him.
Okay, so he doesn't get into, at least right now in this, why he was let go of by Konami. But still, yeah, I mean, again, I to me, the more fascinating
By the way, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah.
By the way, let me just heads up to Andy 11 who recorded this.
Yes,
this
Andy
footage.
11. He's our best friend. I don't know who that is, but yeah, he did. He recorded it at Tribeca. By the way, Legends is in New York. He said he might see this, so hopefully, if he did get around to watching it, he can call in sometime and give us a review, because I couldn't find any reviews on the net of this. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Ricardo, we got P Turtle in the chat. You know, he is a chaos agent. What do I do? What do you want to do? I'm
bring him in.
I'm going to get.
Let's ask the chat.
Huh?
Ask the chat if they are
Okay,
in
I'll
the
tell you what
mood
I'm going
for
to do.
some
I'm going to move
Peter.
on. I'm going to move on to the next story. You check the chat, see if they want to hear from P Turtle. P Turtle, I know you're listening. I don't know. I'll do a show with you, P Turtle. We can set up a show sometime in the next month. I like talking to you. I just got to be careful, because, you know, some people love you, some people hate you, and I don't want to watch the ratings crash. But, Ricardo, check that shit out while I'm moving on to the next story.
Yeah, let me just once again.
Look at Addy Pie.
please,
Addy Pie's like, let him speak. Let him speak. We're not gonna silence the.
I love, seriously, again, once more, I really love Kojima. I love
Addy,
that he's.
I don't like that.
The
Addy
industry
Pie
is definitely better for having Kojima in it.
Absolutely.
It would definitely be a lot less creative
But
without
explain. Okay, you're absolutely right. Love the guy, but explain this to me. Why do you think Addy Pie is so into this? Like, why can't he just go, yeah, I love Kojima, he's fucking awesome, but yeah, he probably, whether he intends it or not, projects an image that is, you know, kind of annoying to a lot of people. Like, you know, why do you think he can't?
He's defending his. I mean, just look at his avatar. It's Death Stranding's villain. So definitely it's clear that Kojima games mean a lot to him.
Yeah, but
and he's passionate about it.
Okay, but that's what I was arguing with That's a Bingo about. I was saying you get so much mental damage from this hero worship. It's like, why can't you love Kojima's work and still be rational when you talk about Kojima or anyone?
Yeah,
like, that's a healthy brain.
That should be, yes, and that's how you help make great things.
Yes. Jaffe
yeah,
says
definitely, I agree with you.
Ravnos thinks I make a lot of assumptions about Kojima. Look, I'm just making assumptions based on what he puts out there to be judged. Donald Woody says love is never rational. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, check. Let me know on. Okay. But we still love you, Addy Pie. Addy Pie says, I'm upset P Turtle isn't allowed to say his piece. We're not saying he's not allowed. I'm just having Ricardo read the room. And in the meantime, I'm going to jump over to this other story, and then we'll get back to it. Kevin says P. Turtle is the Rosa Parks of our generation. That's right. Can you imagine?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, guys.
So
see you soon.
Okay. So while we're waiting, Aliens Dark Descent drops today. It is $30. It is an interesting little bit of a game. The reviews have been pretty interesting to me, so I'll show you what they are right now. And I was talking to Ricardo with this as it relates to Final Fantasy, because I said to him, he's like, well, Final Fantasy comes out this Thursday. Are we going to stream it? Are we going to do anything? And I said, yeah, maybe we should do something because people are excited. But I said, I'm more excited to play Aliens. Just simply based on what I think its Focus Entertainment have shown versus what Final Fantasy has shown, which is people who have played the Final Fantasy demo say it's wonderful. And so I will be playing it, and hopefully I will love it too. I have no reason to think I won't. But I do think if you watch some of the stuff from Aliens, even though it's a buggy game, right? I think right now, let me refresh this. As of when we went live, it was sitting at a 72. It's still sitting at a 72. But let me read you some of the choice, good and bad, about this. 9 out of 10, God is a geek. Aliens is one of the most immersive and exciting tactical shooters I've played, and a worthy successor to Cameron's masterpiece. Okay, whatever. That's too glowing for me. 85, Games Machine, a game that manages to respect the atmosphere that one would expect to encounter in the narrative universes popularized by Ridley Scott and Cameron. 85 by But Why Though? Who are these people? Aliens is a fun real-time strategy squad game that manages to feel tense and rewarding at the same time. It isn't a perfect game. The loop can get a bit repetitive, but that didn't stop me from enjoying every second. Then we drop into some of the negative. Well, I like this. The Six Axis gave it an 8. It's a fantastic game. It absolutely nails the feel of the films and brings exactly the kind of tense and thrilling strategy combat you want. The iconic motion tracker and creature design fits perfectly. On and on and on. Now, IGN gives it a 70. Here's what they say. If not for the technical issues, this would easily be one of the best Alien games ever, and it still probably is. With a few weeks in the med bay for a bit of extra tech polish, it could shine up nicely into something amazing. As is, it's still an intriguing, inspired, imaginative survival RTS that I can enthusiastically recommend, but with those caveats. So the biggest knock most people are giving it is that there are technical issues with it. Technical regarding bugs. I don't think it crashes. I don't think it's like a cyberpunk mess, but it's like, hey, it's a 7, but if they fix the bugs, it would probably be a little bit higher, right? And the thing that stood out to me about this, and I'll put this up while we're talking about it, the thing that really stood out to me on this is they've done this thing where, and the trailer's up right now, this is the gameplay trailer. They've done this thing where most Alien games that I can think of are action games or stealth games, right? But they're putting you in the shoes of, I guess, the hero versus the audience of an Aliens movie. This feels more like they're like, if you play this, it's got the action, but it's also got the tension, and it's got the strategy, and when your guys die, it's permadeath, right? There are... It feels a lot more actually like it would feel to be one of those dudes or women in the Alien universe in Cameron's film. And I just kind of go, a lot of games, and I get it, this game probably, even though it's not a very geeky strategy game, it's not online, I don't think. It can be played with a controller. It's not meant to... compete with XCOM and things like that. But I like how it incorporates play mechanics like the tracker and the tension and the permadeath that does feel more like you would imagine Aliens feels. And if you were really living it. And it got me thinking, though, seriously, it's like a lot of these games, and this may be a stupid idea. Like I said, I don't have the answers to any and everything, but I'll pitch it. You tell me what you think. But it got me thinking, like, if we had games based on licenses that were more than just the action verbs of those licenses, would they be better, right? So if you were playing an Iron Man game, Iron Man mostly focuses on, whenever you've played it, and there's a new one being made right now, flying and shooting and whatnot, right? And there's a little bit of tinkering with the suits, but not much. But if you took Iron Man's action and you merged it with Armored Core, right, in terms of you could really trick out and detail and adjust the suits like Tony Stark does that become a better game or an annoying game? Or if you take Spider-Man and his missions are much more designed not just about beating up the Vulture, but in the comics, Spider-Man won't let anybody die. So suddenly you have to now deal with the fact that the collateral damage of your fights, you have to take care of as well. So you really do feel more like the character of Spider-Man, right? Or even if you guys saw Top Gun Maverick, I was thinking about this one, like, you know, the new Maverick, which I thought was great, is really about Tom Cruise coming to grips with the fact that, yeah, he's still the hero, but he's getting older and he's got to give way to a lot of people. Well, if you played that game, and yeah, you got to do all the air combat, but there was a time where you had to fucking take a seat and be a leader and just go like, you're not going to fly this mission, but you're going to plan it, or you're going to motivate the guys who are flying to keep them alive. Would that be a better use of a license like we might be seeing here with Aliens? Or do you think it's like, dude, fuck that, I just want to fly planes? Like, what do you think? And again, I'm not in development anymore, so it's not like I'm going to take your advice and go make a game like this. But I am just wondering, when I see this and I go, one of the reasons I think I do want to play this so badly, even though it's a 72, is because most of the Alien games don't make me feel like I'm watching Aliens. They just make me feel like I'm a running gun shooter. Or a hide game, I know. But anyway, that's my question. That's my thought. Let me know. In the meantime, it sounds like the chat does want to hear from P. Turtle. I will put my faith in Ricardo to tell me if this goes on too long. Okay? Here we go. It's the P. Turtle. What's up, P. Turtle? P. Turtle is like radioactive material. You have to handle them very carefully. P. Turtle, can you hear me?
Oh, shoot, yeah, you sound a little weird, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how I sound. What's going on?
What's going on, man? I'm here to talk about Kojima.
All right, what do you think? What's going on?
I'm gonna tell you this, man. I feel like people, including you, I know you give him his flowers and all that, but there is a little bit of hate in your tone when you speak about Kojima, because
I think he's full of shit. Yeah.
You think he's full of shit?
I think his public persona is obnoxious and pretentious, and it's full of shit. That doesn't mean I don't like his work. I love his work. But I think he seems like he would be intolerable as a person.
Oh, I disagree. I find him to be one of the most honest men in gaming.
Because why? What has he said that's brave and honest?
Brave and honest?
Well,
I mean,
the most
I don't
honest man in gaming. So what is it that he...
I'm talking about his persona. I don't think he's putting up a facade. I don't think he's putting up an act. I think I've heard him speak about, very blunt about how certain members on his team couldn't, carry the Metal Gear legacy and make another game in that franchise. And then I've also heard him talk about, wanting to pass it on, which a lot of creators wouldn't want. I don't think he's selfish or anything like that. I think with Kojima, he's focused on pushing the medium forward, and I don't see what's wrong with that. I think a lot of people hate people who are confident in themselves, like myself. I'm confident, and it's like they want people to be humble all the time. You ever watch a boxing match?
I don't want him to be humble. I've always pushed against that. I hate that shit. But
so what has he ever said that bothered you?
Sorry?
What has he ever said that bothered you? Give me one thing he said that bothered you.
I think, well, let's just take the most recent. Let's take the documentary footage. The fact that he's starring in a documentary and willing to go along with the director when the director is clearly setting up these staged shots that we know will make him come across not honest or not real, but larger than life, I think is a great example of that. If you're not watching the stream, I'll put it on right now while we're talking, so I'll turn the volume down. But right now I'm showing a shot of him sitting in a movie theater, and now they're going to show him looking up at the screen, and it's the light. You know, they spent hours to get the lighting right and all this. And it's like what they're trying to communicate is this man's brain and how he sees the world, and his vision is somehow so special and unique that we need to give him this kind of adulation in a documentary. I'm not opposed to a documentary about this guy, but if I wanted to see a real documentary that was of value, it's like I said about raising Kratos with Corey. When Corey sat there, and he looked in the camera in his car and he filmed it on his phone and he said, we're about to do a play test. I am stressed. I don't know if this is going to work. It wasn't lit. There was no music. It was a raw take on Corey making a video game. That's the Corey I know. I know a lot of these people, and I'm telling you, that's the nutritious version of explaining truthfully the creative process, which I think would be good to share with the world. If you're contributing, like Kojima is, to this kind of self-fellatio, then I think what you're doing is you're putting out into the world a false sense of yourself and a false sense of the creative process, and I think that's bad.
I'll be honest.
I
think you're looking extremely too much into it.
You have to. It's media. Media is powerful. You have to peel back the floorboards and look at things deeply like this.
You're looking for something to dislike. And I'm going to say this right now.
Why?
You've made some very good games, right?
I have worked on some very good games, and I've worked on some bad games. Absolutely.
The first God of War is one of my favorite games of all time.
As it should be.
Twisted Metal was great or whatever, but I'm honest, none of them hold a candle to Metal Gear Solid 1.
I agree. I agree.
I'm just saying, I think you're one of the best personalities to ever be involved with gaming.
And
right?
Yeah, sure. And I'm telling you
this. You don't come close. Your work, nothing comes close to Kojima. And I'm not saying that.
I'm not offended by that. I think you're right. What's the problem?
Right. And I'm just saying he deserves it.
No one deserves it. It's not accurate.
He deserves to be in the movies.
I'm not saying don't put the motherfucker in a documentary. But I'm saying here's what I want to know. Let me give you an example of why maybe this is so personal to me, right? So I was a kid, I grew up idolizing, and I mean idolizing Steven Spielberg, right? And when you go back and look at the press of that guy, it was never about the work. It was always about the image of what Steven Spielberg was, that he was presenting to the world, for better or for worse. It was only when I read a book of interviews with him, when I was like in my 40s, that he did before he got famous, when he made a movie called Sugarland Express. And it was the only time Spielberg had ever talked about his work, and he was like, I had to go back to the hotel and I had to re-storyboard this shot because the camera was broken, and then I figured, well, what if we do this? And I didn't know, so I called the DP into my room. We were up till 3 a.m. storyboarding. That's the work, right? That's what I want people to take from out of this horse shit, because I think the romanticization of the creative process is bad for the end result of the art, and it's bad for society because it allows people to present a unrealistic take on what it means to be alive. And I think it's the same reason I hate religion. It's people in power who are trying to get your money and have power over you by basically selling you a bill of goods. And I have a problem with it.
What Kojima's doing, he sells a bill of goods?
Yeah, look at him on the screen right now. He's watching a fucking movie. Who watches a movie like that except Nicole Kidman?
He's taking advantage of his name
Yes, do that. Make money, bitch. Make a lot of money. Use your name to make choices that you couldn't make if you weren't the success you were. I don't want to take any of that away from Kojima.
Let me tell you why he also deserves it. I would say about 2 or 3 times in his career, he's put his career on the line.
Everybody does that. So what? That's life. That's working in that's NFL, baby.
Do you think developers that make Call of Duty are putting their career on the line?
I think certain ones at certain levels are, yeah, absolutely. I don't think the guy who's doing the textures is, but I think if you're talking about the executives that greenlight this one over that one, sure. You think the guy who greenlit Vanguard and made decisions to make Vanguard what it is still in the same position of power he was at Activision? Come on.
I'm talking about when they have an easy layup. For, for Corey Barlog, right? When he made God of War 2, I don't think he did anything. It was a great game, but I don't think he took any risks with that game.
Okay.
You know?
So what?
A lot of times when you're making a sequel to something, or even something new, like, this is why I think he deserves all the credit in the world. When you look at Death Stranding, right? That game was extremely important for his studio. Absolutely. If that game failed, there'd be no more Kojima Productions.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like he died and made something else. But yeah, it was important. It was an important game for his studio.
Simulator. He didn't make something that he knew would sell. I
got it. But what's your point as it relates to what we're discussing? Yes, it was a very important game.
But he puts that kind of work in and puts that, to me, he's proving that he cares more about the art than the money. When you make a game like
everybody in games or art or creative does that.
No, they do not.
Yes, they do. Anybody who has a seat at the creative table takes the shot that they can take. That's why this shit is dangerous, because you believe the bullshit narrative. Do you think when I sat down and made Drawn to Death, it wasn't from the heart? It was me going, it was a failure, but it was from the heart. It was from the gut. It was a real piece of genuine creation.
You deserve credit for that. But now we're getting into what's different between you and Kojima. No offense.
I'm not taking offense.
Okay, your game failed.
Yes.
Kojima's game don't. So when you take that risk...
But the work is the same.
No, but you're not listening. When you take that risk and the work comes out great, you deserve the title of auteur. You deserve to be on the movie screens. He takes risks. He doesn't play it safe. And within gaming, even though he made a ton of Metal Gears, each Metal Gear did something very different from the one that preceded it.
Okay. But I mean, I love Metal Gear. I'm not knocking Metal Gear. I would argue. I think you can have a separate discussion on if that's totally true. But that said, though,
Metal Gear.
But there's a difference, though. Let me just wrap this up. What you're saying is that if you have success, you deserve the. I mean, everybody has the freedom. He has a right to make whatever the fuck he wants. I don't care what his documentary looks like in terms of, no one should stop him from expressing himself however he wants. But you're saying that once you have a level of success, you should feel okay with presenting your take on the world and the way you got that success in a way that is not genuine, correct? Because that's the reward for success. You get to lie.
It's not genuine about it, other than there's a documentary being made and he's taking some shots that make the documentary look a little bit better that they're marketing. I understand why.
How many people do you think grow up? You've got a culture of people raised on TikTok and Instagram that literally cannot recognize, even though they're told and shown all the Photoshop work that goes into this bullshit, they still have their mental health damaged by it. Do you really think, like this guy Addy Pie in the chat, he seems like he's ready to go to war for Kojima and fight for Kojima? And I'm like going, dude, maybe you should go to war and fight for him, but make sure you're fighting for the actual man, not this propaganda horseshit that we as a species should be evolving out of at this point. We can't fall for this shit, man. This is what causes all kinds of problems in our society.
I disagree entirely. I think the guy is great. I don't know.
No, what do you disagree with? I think he's great too.
Well, the original was based on your title on the video, is he on a tour or not? Right? Is that what you were saying?
No, you know what we're talking about. Don't try to fucking move the goalpost. You know what we're discussing. No one is arguing with whether or not Kojima makes great games. Even though I don't like all his games, of course he makes great fucking games.
But you were arguing with what's his name? Your producer, right? You were talking to him about it, and you guys
agree. We both agree that he's great. We love Kojima, but you know it can be a little much. Even the fucking Game Radar wrote about it, going, "This is enough."
Do you think he's overrated as a game maker?
As a game maker, no. I don't think he's overrated. I think he is overrated as a personality. I think he's obnoxious as fuck, and it's getting worse every day.
Oh my God! You see, you remind me of the people that hate Christopher Nolan. I don't like all his films, Christopher Nolan.
I don't hate Kojima.
Especially now more than ever, people appreciate. They appreciate these guys that are making attempts to better the genre, to better the medium. And I'm sorry.
I appreciate that too. I'm not against the work. You're seeming to have a problem with this. I don't know if you have a problem or you're losing the argument and so you're shifting it. Neither one of us have a problem with anyone who gets into the arena and says, I want to make fucking big, bold decisions and make changes. Whether they win or lose is irrelevant. And when they win, that's pretty fucking cool. And they deserve the accolades for that. None of that we don't have a disagreement over that. So stop going there. Because there's nothing I disagree, and it's wasting time.
I'm not. It's not about disagreeing. I'm saying the guy cares about art.
Great.
I don't think I don't think what he projects is fake. I just don't. To me, it sounds like you're creating an issue because you don't like that the guy is not humble. That the guy is not walking around.
Humble. I don't give a fuck if he doesn't sit there and say. The only reason I would say is if he wasn't humble, I don't think he's a braggart. If you actually watch the Jeff Keighley interview he did at Tribeca, he doesn't sit up there like an asshole. That's not why that's not my issue with Kojima. Yeah, it's getting tedious, P. Turtle. You can have the last word. Go.
Kojima's the man, and I'm gonna be honest. His next game, I didn't even like Death Stranding 1 too much. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it too much. His next one, I guarantee you, will be Game of the Year unanimously.
What do I get if it's not?
You will hate on it. I guarantee you.
What do I get if it's not?
I'll tell you this. I took a picture with Kojima.
Will you send us a picture of what you look like? If it's not...
Check this out. I took a picture with Kojima at the Death Stranding Chelsea event that he did.
Okay.
I'll send you that picture with me, Kojima, and Yoji Shinkawa. If it doesn't win,
If it doesn't win, how many Game of the Years? Any or what?
I'm not going to say unanimously because that doesn't exist, but I will say
it will 5 Game of the Years from major outlets with his next game, and if he doesn't, you send me the picture.
Deal.
See you, buddy. Be well, good sir. There he goes off into the night. Woo, that's exhausting. All right, fellas. Doge, my buddy from Bartlett Jones says, yeah, but making stuff, talking about Kojima, making stuff over the top is Kojima's style. He's honest, and that he doesn't seem to hold back in his vision, which is reflected here too. Metal Gear is super over the top and stylized. Why can't his doc be too? It can be, but the problem is Metal Gear is clearly fiction. Death Stranding is clearly fiction. The documentary presents as real life, and that's the issue I have with it. Is that I think seriously, man, think about this. I mean, I know you guys maybe think I'm overreacting, and I can appreciate that would be easy to perceive this rant or whatever this is as that. But whatever you think about someone like Donald Trump, good, bad, I'm not going to get into politics with you. But the fact of the matter is I have never seen anything like that in my life, where you had a guy who simply, because of his image, was able to take on the job of the most powerful role and, in this case, most dangerous role on the planet. Now, whether or not he did good, bad, or the other, I'll leave that for you to decide. But the fact that he got elected based on an image that he presented and not the man he was or is, I think is worrisome. And so I think it should be called out and dissected, and it's media literacy. It's important. That's what I would say, Doge. Is Nolan constantly posting himself with people in the game industry? Kojima's with people in Hollywood. Oh, I don't really see any of that. Zeke, I'm sorry. Trump was not elected for his ideas. For example, you can say that, but the fact of the matter is, I don't want to get into it. It's not the show for it. We can talk. It doesn't matter. The point is, cult of personality. He's great on camera. The media loves to cover him. He's a funny guy. And a lot of, I don't want to get into his politics right now because it's the wrong show for it. But one is politics and dangerous. The other is art. Art is frequently elevated to God status, as Brett. Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing. It's how we consume media and allow it to create our sense of truth. Let's move on. DevKit wants to talk about aliens. He's in the chat. DevKit, it's Jaffe. How's it going, man? DevKit, where are you? I miss you so much, DevKit. DevKit. Where's DevKit, Ricardo? What the fuck, man?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, baby? What's up?
I'm good. I just was hearing all that babble with you and P Turtle right now,
Lordy.
and that was something.
You know, it's fun. What's going on?
I'm good. I was hearing about Alien Descent. I'm really excited for that game.
Me too. Me too.
I'm a big, huge Aliens fan.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about the IP, like, if it wasn't, the game wasn't Aliens game, it would be generic?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say it would be generic if it wasn't for the IP, but I mean, it would certainly be less successful probably. But
yeah,
I was just saying that previous Alien games or Aliens games, a lot of them take just the action verbs of the movies or the licenses, and they don't build into the design itself the more special, unique aspects to the license, right? I mean, that's kind of more what I was talking about. But, you know, it does make me think, though, of like Marvel Midnight Suns. Midnight Suns did probably the best game I've ever played, where it captured that camaraderie amongst the team members of Marvel Comics. And it was probably, I think it was a dud, right? They laid off a bunch of the team and it didn't sell all that well. So, you know, maybe I could be wrong. I don't fucking know. But I just know, for me, one of the reasons I'm excited for the new Aliens is because it feels like it's going to have this tension but still action. Whereas, like, even Alien Isolation, which I didn't play that much, so I can't speak that authoritatively to it, but it was mostly, if I remember people talking about it, it was mostly tense and stealth, but you didn't have a lot of action in that game, did you?
There was some action at, like, the very end.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I beat the game, so.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to pick it up tonight. If it's not too late, I'll stream it, but I'm looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, and also I've been playing God of War for the first time.
Which one are you playing?
All of them.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. And also I'm a big thank you for making Twisted Metal and Mickey Mania, because those were my childhood.
Well, I hear that from people, and on behalf of all of us who made it, because there's a lot of us, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And thanks for playing our shit, dude. Thank you, buddy.
You're
all
welcome.
Right, I'll talk to you soon, DevKit. Call back anytime, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, man. There he goes into the night, fellas. Well, fellas, that has been Gabbin' and Games for the 19th of June. Oh, I love that sound. What's going on? Tomorrow night, we will be streaming live, probably starting about 4 o'clock California time, a bunch of the Steam Next Fest games. If there is a game you want me to stream and you are a Cult of Calypso or God of War member, send me a DM, and I will make sure that is that I put that on the queue tomorrow night to stream if there's something you want to see streamed. But there's 900 fucking goddamn demos on that Next Fest, man. So if you have the opportunity, check it out. And if there's anything you want streamed, let me know. Alex S says, Jaffe, when will you stream some horror games? Well, I want to stream in August Phasmophobia, the console edition. I want to stream... there is a demo right now called Daymare, like Nightmare. It's called Daymare 1984. I think it's called that I will be streaming. What do you... Oh, and I really want to stream Amnesia the Bunker. So the thing you have to understand, I'm not streaming as much gaming at night these days, not because I don't want to, but one of the good things about Ricardo is he keeps a schedule. And in that, I know I need to be at certain places at certain times, and it makes it important for me to like go to bed at a decent hour. Jojo D, have I tried the follow-up to Severed Steel? No, but I will be playing that tomorrow, 100%. Do I still play Turbo Golf Racing Jalapeno Milk? I don't. I should. I loved it. Fucking love that game. One of my favorite games last year. But no, I haven't played it in quite some time. All right, fellas. Ricardo, thank you guys. New members, welcome. Super chats, thank you. Did I get them all, Ricardo? I didn't miss any, did I? Rob the Mod, thank you. Mods, thank you. I really appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for allowing us to do this. I have such a great time. I hope you enjoyed as well. Thank you for the debate and the discussion. And I hope you know it comes from a place of just passion. And I enjoy debating and discussing and having conversations with y'all. So hopefully you're not taking it too personal. In the meantime, be well, be safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.